say that again. So when we use trigonometry to solve either an unknown side, or we can use it also to solve an unknown angle, okay, there's essentially three types of problems. Okay, so you will need to use your algebraic skills, but if you're not quite 100% sure of your algebraic skills, there's three different types of problems, and there's three different tricks or three different ways you solve them. So as I show you actually how to use trigonometry, I'm going to do an example of each of those three types of problems. Okay, and that's essentially all we have to do for this unit. Okay, so what you have to be able to do for this unit, I'm going to show you now. Okay. When we did Pythagoras, what was the first step?
Formula.
Yeah, the formula, but just before that we labelled sides, yeah. Yep. So I want you to do those two things. That's good, Connor. I want you to label the sides and then write the formula. Okay. The longest side is always the...
Hypotenuse.
Alright, we called it C in Pythag. We're just going to call it H for hypotenuse. Okay. Now, the other two sides are going to be opposite and adjacent, and that depends on what angle you're using. So it's all based around the angle. So in this case, we're using this angle here, okay, which happens to be 30 degrees. Yeah, so we come out from that, straight directly across, and that is O for opposite side. O for opposite side. And that means the last side, can we remember what the last side was called?
Adjacent.
Yeah, adjacent. And the adjacent always runs along, it's one of the edges that is on that angle. So it's really important we do that. Now this is, again, a really important step. Just like Connor said, we need to write the formula. But we don't know what formula to actually use yet. What we have to do is work out which trigonometric ratio that we are going to use. Okay, the three trigonometric ratios are sine, cosine, and tangent. Sine, cosine, and tangent. We have to work out which one we're going to use. Let's look at this problem. We've been told what the hypotenuse is, and we're trying to find out the opposite side. Which one of these three has opposite and hypotenuse? Sine, yeah. See how sine is O and H? See how cosine is A and H, so it's not that one. See how tan is O and A, so it's not that one. The two sides that we're working with are O and H. So we go through all of these, it means, we're using sine. We're going to write the formula. This one here. Because we've worked out its sine. Sine of the angle equals opposite divided by hypotenuse. Okay, so we're going to write that formula. Always write that formula just as we said before. I'll get out the way in 1 sec, guys. Okay, what we can do now is we can substitute into this formula what we know. So we know the angle, don't we? The angle is 30. So sine of 30. Do we know what the opposite side is?
No.
Nah, we're trying to figure that out. So we'll just leave it as O for opposite. Do we know the hypotenuse?
Yeah.
5. Okay, so we've got sine of 30 equals O over 5. Sine of 30 equals O over 5. This is where our algebraic skills come in. I know some of you could solve for O. Right? Close. Close. Okay, some of you I know will be able to work that out. Here's the first type of problem when we've got the fraction, we've got the unknown on top. What we do is we move this 5 up and we multiply. So we get 5 times the sine of 30 equals the opposite side. Okay, so where the unknown is on top, we move this bottom denominator up and we times. So this is just one of the types of problems. Okay, so then you get on your calculator and you would type in 5 times sine 30 and equals and see what you get.
Excuse me.
Would we write 30 and then do the sign?
It depends on your calculator. Remember I've said that everyone's calculator is different. This is why you need your own calculator and you need to practice using it. Sometimes you hit the sign button first.
I got 5 over 2.
Same. Really?
Okay. So your calculator is in maths script mode. You need to put it into decimal mode.
0.5?
Classic.
So, 2 things to take away from that, guys. Make sure your calculator's in degrees mode. Make sure it's in classic mode. And everyone's calculator is different. So, for example, sometimes when it comes to this sine of 30, some people hit the sine button then 30. Others you have to do 30 and then sign it. So that's why I want you to bring your calculators so you can get to know how your specific calculator works.
These ones are
Okay. Can you, for the second one, oh, sorry, before we go there, we get 0.25, I think we got, didn't we? 0.25 metres.
2.5.
Oh, sorry, 2.5 metres. Yeah, 2.5 metres.
Yeah.
It's really good to go and check, is it feasible that this is 2.5 metres?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I got 6 metres, I would instantly know that's not correct. Why?
Hypotenuse.
Yeah.
That's 5 meters there.
Yeah, has to be shorter than hypotenuse.
Looks like half anyway.
Hey guys, I'll give you a go at this one. Label your sides.
That short side one. I mean, not.
Label your sides. Hypotenuse, adjacent, opposite. So, we know the hypotenuse. This is the angle. So the side directly across is the opposite. And the one that's left over,
Are we doing
adjacent. Well, let's work that out. Good question. Okay, the question was, are we doing cosine? Well, let's work it out. The 2 sides that we're using in this one, we want to find out the hypotenuse, and we know the adjacent. So that's H and A. H and A is cosine, yeah. So write the formula, cosine of the angle equals adjacent divided by hypotenuse. Okay? And then just substitute in what you know. We know the angle is 40. We know the adjacent is 7. And we don't know H. Don't know H. Now again, this is where our algebraic skills come in. Okay? If you're a little bit unsure of what to do here to get H by itself, here's the second trick that you do. The first one we moved up and timesed. This one, we're just going to simply swap them over. So we get H equals 7 divided by cosine of 40. Okay? So when the unknown is on the bottom of the fraction, we're just going to swap them straight over, and we can do that when we rearrange our figures using algebra.
So 7 times 4.
What's this thing mean?
Divide.
Divide, yeah.
So is it 7 divided because like I got 9.4.
Okay. 7 divided by the cosine of 40.
3. How does that? Oh, I hate it. Got to remember that. Wiping that on your jumper.
Okay, so
Following
when we work that out, we get 9.14 centimetres. Don't forget your units too.
That was contained.
Okay. Okay, I'm just going to... So we've got this problem here, and what we're doing is we're finding an angle for this one. Alright? So this is a little bit different, but essentially we follow the same process. So we're going to label the sides. Hypotenuse, adjacent. Oh, sorry. Coming out, the angle is the opposite. Comes straight out opposite the angle. The last one's the adjacent. Okay? So we label the 3 sides. Okay? So the next step is exactly the same. We work out which trigonometric ratio we're going to use. So the 2 sides that we know the opposite and the adjacent. So when it comes to SOHCAHTOA, what is opposite and adjacent? TOA, tan, good. So we write the formula using tan. Tan of the angle equals opposite over adjacent. Okay, so write that in now. Okay, so we've got tan of the angle equals opposite over adjacent. Now, we don't know the angle, that's what we're trying to find out. But we do know the opposite and the adjacent. Okay, so we have 4 divided by 5. Okay? So 4 divided by 5.
Do we have to do that with a line?
That's theta, it's a Greek letter.
So do we have to do the line?
It's just a symbol, okay? So generally when we do angles and that, we use Greek letters. So sometimes we might use alpha, beta, gamma. Okay.
Gamma, come on, gamma up and one, then off something.
Yeah, mate. When you want
Sometimes you might just have unknown letters like X or Z or something. Okay. Let's solve this. Now I'm going to show you the last. I call it a little trick because there's 3 types of tricks. Okay. To solve the unknown angle. Okay, if you're not sure on your algebra skills or you're not confident with it, hopefully you will be with a bit of practice with these. So now we want to know the angle. Okay, so we need to get rid of that tan. We need to get rid of the tan. So we've got to. I've always said when we're doing our rearrangements, you do the opposite. You know, if you want to get rid of a +5, you take 5. If you want to get rid of a times by 5, you divide by 5 or whatever. So essentially, we need to do the opposite of tan, and we call that inverse. Okay, the inverse of tan. So what we do is this 4 divided by 5. We do the inverse of tan. Okay. So that negative tan to the negative 1, basically that means the inverse of tan. I normally call it like the opposite of tan. Okay. So we inverse tan the 4 over 5. Okay. And we will practice these for you to get used to it.
So,
now, on your calculator, you've got a second function or an inverse function.
Yeah.
So what you do is you'd hit the second or inverse function, then tan, and it should bring up a 10 and then a bracket, and then you would do 4 divided by 5.
What? Help me.
I can help people, yeah.
I got
Is that right?
38.65.
So you got 38.65?
Yeah, but, oh wait, I didn't do the. Do you have to do
I got 45.7.
45.7? Let's have a look.
Delete that one. And then 4. How was that following?
second?
Right. That was 0.
38.65, yep.
I'm gonna bring it.
How does that work?
So 38.65, yep.
How did it not come up again?
Okay, so that's quite a bit that we've just gone through. But essentially that is the whole concept of what you need to be able to do for this unit. Okay? Let's just recap the process, because this, if you follow this process, this will help you. Okay, so we always label the sides first. Hypotenuse, adjacent, opposite. I think most people are pretty confident to do that, yeah? Okay, that's fairly straightforward. Then we need to work out which ratio that we're going to use. How do we work out which ratio? We use... Yeah, Sokotoa, good. Okay. Then we write the formula. Okay. So we work out which 2 sides we're using out of the 3 sides, and the 2 sides that we're using will determine whether it's sine, cosine, tangent, as we've worked out. Okay. We substitute in what we know, and then we just rearrange it. Okay. And there's only 3 different types of problems how we rearrange it. Okay. There's the one where the unknown was on top of the fraction, where we shifted up and times. There's one where the unknown was on the bottom, where we swapped them. And then there was when we find an angle, we use the inverse. Okay? We will have an opportunity to practice each one individually so you can get to understand it and know it a bit better. Okay? But that's essentially all of the topic. Okay.
I can't.
Question?